Hello, welcome back to LIVENODING. In this episode, I want to share with you the breakdown on how I created this kind of like unidentified flying objects, or yeah, we're gonna see what's actually underneath. So first of all, let's take a look. So the class itself is a procedural. I'm using geometry nodes with a fancy shaders. So let's take a look. Yeah, I'm using iridescent material from Sanctus library, and there's a transparency involved, right? If I play around with this layer weight for the blend between transparent and iridescence, we can start to see what's underneath. So it's apparently kind of like a spiraling object. It's like let's take a look. So the class itself, yeah, like I said, it's procedural with class simulations. I started with these geometry nodes just to quickly create the grid, shade smooth, set material to iridescence, and just drape it over these objects. If you take a look, this is just like the famous procedural golden poo. Okay, so you can create this in just few minutes, but I'm gonna show it to you. So the whole thing is pretty simple, just a spiral objects. You can actually resample this spiral as well and then just give it like a random radius. For now it's pretty simple spiral, and we use this transform just to invert the spiral, and then we're gonna control the height of the spiral. Then we simply just sweep the curve into kind of like a pool, or it could be like a snail housing. Yeah, and then just give it like a golden material from Sanctus library. I can give it like a different metal, could be like a golden rough, assign material, and then just simply reassign it here. So we got this golden pool. We can control the rotations, etc., and also the thickness. We can multiply from these objects, and we actually have control over the end and the start of the radius of these objects, and just assign a multiplier, and we simply just remesh it. Okay, so yeah, I think it's gonna be more interesting if I make this from scratch. I'm gonna do it again. So we start with the default cube. Gonna save it as poo art. Create geometry nodes, spiral, curve. By default, we get the spiral that's going like this, like a tornado, with control over the start and the end radius. This is already pretty cool and useful, but for our case, we're gonna invert it in the z-axis. Now we also want to control the height. Okay, we don't want it to grow down the floor. We want it to push it up. So we're gonna use a value. Let's try 5, and then we're also gonna translate this. Now you can see we have like a Christmas tree, or like a spiral with control over the height and all sort of thing. Cool. And then, so like I said, we can actually resample the curve and then just have a little bit of more control. And then we can also set position, randomize, just offset it. Yeah, a little bit like that. Then we can curve to mesh this guy using curve circle. we can fill the caps. Okay, so of course you want to control more of the radius. Set curve radius, and the radius we can control using float curve and spline parameter. It's going to be the vector goes into the value, and this value goes into the radius. So now you can see we can control the start and the end of this. It's golden poo, or I don't know, just like a shell, snail shell. It's a lot of control there. And we can also reshape this guy. And at this point, really, you just maybe just you can use remesh. It's gonna work anyway. It's smooth. Okay. Well, anyway, I will give it a material. Set material. I will use Sanctus library. It's gonna be metal, golden, rough. Assign the material. Now we should have materials here. We can assign it here. You can actually just pass this outside. If you go to cycles, you can see the gold material. Give it sunlight or area light. So we got the golden poo. Let's see. Maybe we can actually turn off this resample. Anyway, you got the idea. And with the poo, okay, we're not finished. We still need some kind of cover up. Create another default cube, geometry nodes. This time we're gonna use grid. Why do I use grid and procedural? So we want to have some kind of cloth that goes down this guy. I reduce the voxel size for now. We get this. We have this pile of gold poo. We have this grid. All we need to do is just to use cloth. You can increase the quality steps. For now, I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna turn this into collisions and it's gonna drop the cloth. You can definitely increase the resolutions, but for now it should be okay. Stop the simulations. You can actually simulate the cloth. I mean, you can use the cache and then just bake all dynamics here. So we have this result. We just gonna need to shade smooth. Okay, you can also subdivide this further. You can use fancy shader, iridescent, assign material. Now we have fancy shader. Shader, iridescence. Give it a sky, texture. We want this to be a little bit transparent. We want to mix the shader. Okay, and we want to use weight, layer weight, Fresnel or facing. I think this is pretty cool looking shader with control over the transparency. So now we have an unidentified flying golden pool or something. Alright, so hopefully you find this useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.